Greetings shippers, welcome back, and we have an interesting one today. Well, they're all interesting, but today particularly so. We're going to be going back to a realm that can get a little controversial and a little bit uncomfortable for some. We're heading back to RPF. Real person fiction. Now, of course, this is not for everyone, which is perfectly fine. So if it's not for you and you're not interested in finding out more about it or the fandom, then I will see you in another video. However, if you are intrigued or just want to try and unpack what exactly it is about it that people find interesting, particularly in this fandom, then stay tuned. We're also going to get into how it can vary from fandom to fandom. This video was requested by patron Joss7, who was nervous to even suggest it and had several backups prepared. Because, as mentioned, there are some people who just won't even touch RPF. But you know me, I never like to shy away from a challenge, so we're going to be talking about the Rooster Teeth RPF fandom, specifically the one centered around Achievement Hunter. Initially, we were going to go with a specific pairing, but then we decided that an overview would be good, especially for those who know absolutely nothing about the topic. So hopefully, let's have a nuanced discussion about RPF. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please do follow on social media to stay up to date, know when we're streaming, and just come on over and chit chat about fandom. It's a good time, I swear. Now, let's talk about this fandom. We've talked about RPF before when we discussed Septiplier, the pairing of gaming YouTubers Jacksepticeye and Markiplier. We also took the time there to examine the history of RPF in general, so if you're interested in that, please check it out. You can click the card or the link will be down below. It would be good to check out because in many ways these RPF fandoms contrast, particularly in terms of the subject's reaction to being shipped. So first, some backstory. Rooster Teeth is a name known by many at the time of this recording. From humble beginnings and founded in 2003, this company has ballooned from making fanish-style transformative content to hosting content to traditional YouTube content, though they had seen from the start that establishing their own sites and independent revenue streams was the way to go. Eventually, they grew to have their own full-fledged productions, such as the well-known and beloved by many RWBY, which has a huge shipping fandom in its own right. The origin of this team will come into play later. For now, let us skip ahead to Achievement Hunter. Achievement Hunter was founded in 2008 by Jeff Ramsey and Jack Patillo. It is the video gaming division of the Rooster Teeth company. The name, of course, comes from the potential for achievements in a video game and the quest to attain them. The works produced eventually became what you would expect to see out of a gaming site: walkthroughs, comedy videos, let's plays, and more, though the let's plays didn't start until 2011. The crew actually predated the boom of gaming style content on YouTube by a couple of years. Not that that content wasn't being posted, but it had yet to become the juggernaut it would be in later years, specifically the early 2010s, where it would maintain itself until a little after the middle of the decade. In fact, the creators noted that at the time, no website of its kind existed, stating, "Birdie and I were both huge achievement fans, and we were constantly racing each other to get more achievements, trying to outdo each other for gamer score. And to that end, we were playing a ton of games in our free time, and trying to find information about how to get certain achievements online, and it was a bit of a crapshoot. There were a few sites you could go and look at, but I'm kind of a visual dude, and it really helps me if I sit down and watch a video. So we were talking about how great it would be if a site like that existed one day, and how helpful it would be for us, and I said, F it. I'll just make that site, and decided to do that. Over the years, the site would continue to grow in popularity and would rise alongside the rise of gaming in the early 2010s, which led to an increase in staff members. All of this was also being paralleled by a meteoric rise in fan activity, thanks to the creation of microblogging site Tumblr, which was giving a home to a new sort of fandom outside of just fanfiction and fan art, though both could be housed there, a more rapid-fire form of fandom, oftentimes spread through a quick visual snippet, or GIF. These would be particularly instrumental in the realm of RPF, which would often have to go off of new media or interview materials, all of which made RPF more accessible to a wider group than it had been before, in a newer and some would say less socially acceptable environment, as the removal usually afforded by tabloid culture was no longer in place. And especially with new media, the separation between creator and fan was smaller than ever. Particularly so in the case of the Rooster Teeth crew, not so much in that they were more accessible, but in so much as they had fanish roots. All of this really took off in 2013, when the company decided to begin utilizing its pre-existing YouTube channel, though it would take 2 years before it crystallized into what it was meant to be. This placed them securely in the arena of burgeoning gaming stars, with a distinct advantage of history and a pre-existing fan base, and the ability to appeal to new fans who were not necessarily in the habit of visiting multiple sites to find their content anymore, though there would be some fans who would always prefer the original website. At this point, the 6 most shippable members were also firmly in place, those being Jeff Ramsey, Jack Patillo, Gavin Free, Michael Jones, Ryan Haywood, and Ray Ray Navarez Jr., who would later be replaced by Jeremy Dooley. There would be some overlap, and other people who were not necessarily part of this main six would come into play, but this core group would form the combinations that were most often bandied about. The channel gives a window into the type of content posted, and why exactly it could be read as so shippable. A lot of the videos were competition-based, or partner-based, playing games together. There were also many series for fans to return to time and time again, though these would cycle, rising up, and some going on hiatus such as Rage Quit, depending upon their popularity. There's a lot to check out. There was always a lot of banter and shenanigans, and fans began to have their favorite combos of hosts to see together, and the atmosphere almost always came off as welcoming to a wide array of fans, though as always not all, including shippers. When the members of Achievement Hunter became aware of this phenomenon, they did not shy away from it, quite the opposite. Instead, at times they embraced it, and would discuss it at times with shippers themselves, meaning that they were available for comment and questioning about who felt comfortable shipping and who did not. The Fuck Yeah Rooster Teeth fanfic even has shipping fandom rules and guidelines, which contains a master list of who enjoys shipping and who does not, which can be read as: quick summary, okay with it. Kyle, Caleb, all of AH, with rules, see below. Miles, Katie, Barbara, Matt, Jeremy, Kitten, Lindsay, all of Funhouse, Micah, Tina, JJ, Josh Flanagan, Steffi, Jeremy, not okay with it, so keep out of fics. Any kids. Jordan didn't occur. Bernie's ex-wife, Ryan's wife and kids. Millie, Aaron Zek. Further below that, it goes into specifics, such as if there's anybody who's not okay with non-con or cheating fics, or if they have specific fics or tropes that they enjoy. This for some is a unique phenomenon in RPF, to have a clear guideline of what is and is not okay with who. Of course, not everyone adheres to the guidelines, but this is a step above and beyond what most RPF fandoms have in place. I will have a link down below if you want to take a look at the full document. The crew would joke about these ships, play flirt at times, and even sometimes coin their own ship names, though this could be due to the fact that the team's names were assigned to various duos, starting in the era of Minecraft Let's Plays and branching outwards. These team names can double as ship names, though they also employ the more modern portmanteau names as well. The dominant pairing of this fandom is Mavin, the pairing of hosts Michael Jones and Gavin Free, who go by the duo name of Team Nice Dynamite. Here the influences of coinciding fandom booms can be seen, as this pairing enjoyed its first fic bang on Tumblr in the summer and fall of 2013, a fic bang being a massive fic and prompt exchange, taking place within a specific time limit, slightly differing from a kink meme in terms that the prompts could be more restricted, depending upon who was hosting the bang. This meant that fans could post and fill fic prompts for these too. Events such as these would lead to surges in fandom, which could lead to many more people locating a fandom or ship, or could just serve as moments of excitement for pre-existing fans. The shipping in this fandom is also rife with multi-shipping. Unlike other fandoms where wars abound, it is not uncommon to find people shipping multiple duos, sometimes from different eras, but oft times overlapping. It has also become common to find more and more poly ships, even OT6s and OT7s, not to mention your of course more standard OT3s and 4s. The duos could spring up from a variety of sources, such as starting a new channel, as was the case with Dan Grucci and Gavin Free, or Danvin, who created the Slow Mo Guys channel. The couple could also be dating in real life, such as Turn Free, the pairing of Gavin Free and Meg Turney. The favorite pairing of our prompter is that of Jeremy Dooley and Ryan Haywood, one of the smaller pairings in the fandom. But there is material for pretty much all combinations and fics, and the fics range just as they would for a fictional pairing, including the inclusion of tropes and AUs, such as Alpha Beta Omega. These can even be combined, such as with the popular and meta fake AH Crew AU. As one can probably gather, there is a lot going on here. Aside from the scope and number of members, what makes this RPF any different from the BTS RPF fandom, or Septiplier? Here is where this fandom tends to stand apart. A lot of RPF fandoms suffer from contention from the outside, and oftentimes to some extent from the inside as well, as to how far is too far, and the boundaries that must be employed when shipping RPF, which can lead to quite a bit of controversy, and at times scorn. However, with this fandom, the majority of contention does not come from this, though some of course does, but rather more drama has arisen from other incidents surrounding the behavior of various Rooster Teeth staff members, which is to say that there have been incidents in the past that have incited certain fans. In fact, there is a blog dedicated to some of these incidents previously entitled Feminist Rooster Teeth, now called Let's Play Social Justice, dedicated to moments that would stress this video's length to the breaking point. The extremely Cliff Notes version would be certain comments have been made by various staff members, particularly during Let's Plays, and not only these comments but their subsequent follow-ups have led to various degrees of critique, from mere concern over tone deafness to accusations of toxic white male privilege. There is even an archive entitled AH Trigger Warning Archive, which was dedicated to collecting problematic videos and providing warnings for viewers, an example being as follows. Let's Play Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor. This video contains a reference to child abuse, and content that could trigger emetophobia and misophobia. Gendered slurs are scattered throughout, and ableist language is used. The scraping of swords is heard frequently. Following that was a list of time codes of what to avoid. Other controversies could bleed in, such as not approving of the company's sponsorships, or perhaps of treatment of employees, meaning that these can be far louder than critiques of RPF shipping, which can create a pocket for it to exist in. Even so, it is still less drama-filled. A potential for this is, as mentioned, because of the crew's acceptance and willingness to play into this side of fandom culture, which of course makes not only shippers but those looking in from the outside more comfortable. This perhaps stems from the fact that the company's history is steeped in transformative fandom, thanks to the creation of parody-style videos with the Red vs. Blue series. Others feel that this is pandering and ship-baiting, but done correctly. Ship-baiting is a technique that has been employed by productions for years, though usually when it pertains to fictional characters, though one could see the actors playing up their relationship in an attempt to engage with the fandom, and it has often been used as a marketing practice. This practice has come more and more under fire over time, particularly when it comes to queer couples, and some now believe it should never happen at all, and is an abuse of fandom trust. However, for some, the relationship between the Achievement Hunter team and their ships is an example of how it can benefit everyone and stay fun. The ships are acknowledged but not mocked, at least not mean-spiritedly, though some may disagree. The crew separates the ships from themselves, as do most of the shippers, meaning that it becomes a more abstract activity for both, which can actually end up reinforcing boundaries, and has created goodwill, and is good for their branding with that sect of their fanbase. And some argue it just feels fun, and it's nice to be in a fandom and not feel judged, for the most part. Though of course one's experiences with this will vary depending upon which other fandoms they are participating in or their past history with fandom. Though to certain RPF shippers and more fraught fandoms, this one may appear as an oasis. Part of what may be aiding this as well may be its size. While definitely existent and enthusiastic, this shipping contingent of this fandom is relatively small, though it may only feel that way at the time of this recording. At its zenith in the mid-2010s, this fanbase was quite active on Tumblr, which has left it hard to track, with abandoned blogs, shifting tags, Tumblr updates and purges, and more. The activity here has definitely slowed, and while Achievement Hunter is still active, the fanbase is now at a more core level, drawing in some new people, but for the most part stable, since even at its height, it never reached the levels of, say, Septiplier. As a result, the amount of shipping-based incidents or invasions of space were far fewer. In short, this RPF fandom could be viewed as a niche within a niche. So with all of that said, what keeps people away from this side of the Rooster Teeth fandom? Well, of course, for some, it is their natural aversion to all things RPF, and the belief that it inherently invades boundaries, whether the person is dealing in personas or not, and that it is dehumanizing. For others, it just doesn't appeal to them, or they haven't engaged with this fandom in that way. For contrary to popular belief, shippers do not ship in every fandom they are in, as there are many ways to be drawn to fandom, and fans themselves are nuanced and can enjoy a variety of fandom activities. Others find this fandom confusing and hard to keep track of, with so many series, so many employees, and so much of a backlog it can be overwhelming. And some simply miss the boat on the appeal of this team, and some have never gotten into the appeal of Let's Plays or online gaming culture in general. For those who do get involved, they may be pleased by the huge backlog to explore, and the fandom does still produce works. It's a smaller fandom, but for the most part a welcoming one, and it's actually one some are completely unaware of, as it can skirt below the radar of RPF fandoms. Of course, this fandom had a lot going on, so there is always the potential that one may have found themselves in a more tumultuous side of it. If that is the case, of course, feel free to share your stories down below. RPF is an intriguing realm, and one with much to discuss, though they can be difficult discussions to have for some. There's a lot here, and more to explore, but hopefully this can serve as an overview, and perhaps serve as a guide to either enter or stay away from the RPF side of the Rooster Teeth and Achievement Hunter fandom. Were you aware of this fandom? If you're a part of it, what's your favorite pairing? And please, share your experiences, as it can always be different from person to person. I want to hear everything. The good, the bad, the meh. Also, have you ever found yourself drawn to an RPF ship? Perhaps even after vowing that that would never happen. Share all your thoughts down below, and you know the drill. Number it if possible. I love a good essay comment. I, as always, appreciate you taking some time out of your day to spend it discussing fandom with me, especially when it gets nuanced like this. If you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Share the video around because it does help out, and if you feel like it, hit the like button. That's right, all the YouTube things. I will see you again when I can, and until then, let's get to that outro. Bye-bye. This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side, for helping to make these videos possible. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, so until then, stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.